factors in globalization. New technologies, information can be shared easily and cheaply with an audience of billions at the click of a button. Global financial systems, security, trade agreements. WTO oversees 97% of world trade. Uganda unequal flows. Landlocked country shall be poor. Has lots of green and resources like copper, but due to civil war and corruption and HIVs have slowed down development. 1/3 live in poverty. 59-year life expectancy. International trade, umbrella city, started in China, exported via the Silk Road to Asia, then across to Europe. 70% come from China. Sheep production costs billions made annually. Government support, including tax incentives. China overtook Japan as leading exporter in 2004. China uses the Great Firewall to control what citizens see. 1.9 billion products made by Coca-Cola, third biggest behind Apple and Google. Coca-Cola hired 5 million female entrepreneurs. Single product economies, positive China and the internet. Negative Nigeria and oil. Has oil reserves of 36 billion barrels. It counts for 80% of Nigeria's economy. However, it has led to a decline in other sectors such as agriculture and manufacturing. Rural-urban migration has increased, so rural poverty has increased. Nigeria don't have the right technology, so other companies have been developing these reserves, leading to oil spills in Niger Delta and abuse to land people. Coca-Cola Foundation awards grants to companies globally and has massive employment opportunities. LED to 5 million female entrepreneurs. Many local bottlers profit investment in new markets. Led to 2 billion in India since 2011. Replenishes the water it uses and initiates a sustainable agricultural scheme. Coca-Cola negatives. Harsh working conditions. Millions spent countering health issues. Coca-Cola cost. Long hours for little pay. Majority of profits goes back to USA. Water pollution in India 2000 for used more water than 25% of population in 2005. Bananas, the world's most popular fruit, grow in low latitudes with the need for tropical conditions. They are very cheap as supermarkets purposely use them to make a loss to get shoppers to buy other items. Fair trade represent 1 in 3 bananas in the UK. It is grown in Latin America in poor working conditions. Global food systems. 10 firms control 28% of global food production. 1.9 billion people are overweight and 800 million are malnourished. 2015 introduced UK using GM crops, but will take time till they are properly used. Trade in palm oil, highly versatile due to its high melting point. It is the most used vegetable oil in the world, but it needs an equatorial or tropical rainforest environment. So, puts a huge strain on these areas. In Indonesia alone, 13 million hectares of rainforest have been cleared to become a palm oil plantation. It also leads to water pollution and low-wage drought conditions for local workers. RSPO, a movement focused on raising awareness on the rough production of palm oil. RSPO products are products where the palm oil was produced in humane conditions. Global governance norms the values and traditions that govern individuals in a society. Global commons, oceans, atmosphere, outer space, polar regions. E.g. Antarctica. Antarctica, rich in wildlife and minerals such as coal, contains 70% of fresh water. Huge exploitation for its whales in the 19th century. Huge fishing led to loss of krill and cod. Huge mining for its mineral resources. It's home to 4,000 scientists. Its research has led to U.S. understanding greenhouse gas being a strong cause behind global warming. A popular tourist destination. Numbers rising from the 27,000 in 2012.
Antarctica? The IATO in 2009 has led to the agreement of only 1 ship of tourists at a time. And no littering. There are several countries such as UK, Argentina, Chile, France, NZ, and Australia who claim parts of Antarctica. ATS in 1959 signed by 12 nations led to the agreement of no more countries being able to claim parts of Antarctica. and it is globally governed. And free research rights, banning all mineral exploits. There's also NGOs such as IWC that have banned fishing and whale killing.
Place. Placeness lack a sense of being unique, i.e., an airport. Location, where it is on the map. Locale. A place is made up of a series of locales such as houses, church. Place meaning emotional attachment to a place. Far and near places. Insiders are those who feel included within the society. Could be the more popular demographic or fluent people born in the place. Whereas outsiders are people who feel excluded, possibly by insiders. And they have different perspectives on place. Far and near places is based on how far we feel connected. Egg, if we have access to faster travel places. Don't fear as far as well as media can help. You feel more near to places as you feel more connected. Experienced places, place you have physically experienced. Media places, places experienced via social media. They do things differently here. You had to be there. If history is time, geography is space. Factors affecting places, physical factors such as topology being a coastal area, dialects. Economics and population endogenous factors, local and physical geography of a place. Land use agricultural, location, topography, infrastructure. Exogenous factors, factors from outside, i.e., relationships. People, resources, ideas, and money investments. Reimagining places. Shanghai experienced rapid change due to rapid economic change in China. Dorset. Lancelot Brown was described as a placemaker in 1700s, and he helped Joseph Damer, owner of Dorset, to create a new place for Milton residents to live in. He had little care for Milton's history. Milton used to be a very monastery-related place in the 10th century, a very market town with traders. Elsewhere in Dorset, Poundbury created in a more philanthropic way than Milton. Its patron is Prince Charles, who has been strong in his love for architecture. Forces of changing a place meaning? TNCS, local people, global institutions. Local government creative people are paid to help re-image places. For example, Stratford went from an unaesthetic place with places like Fridge Mountain, and then after multi-billions was poured into it, birthed Westfield Shopping Center, home to over 4,000 jobs as well as Olympic Village. And this was kickstarted due to needing an attractive enough place to home the 2012 Olympics. Rebranding for tourism. In North Wales, a place called Alistown was rebranded with arts, walking trails and maps to promote heritage tourism. A social media event took place that questioned the image of Africa in the media and showed it was depicted as a dark continent. The Africa the media never shows you went viral, and people came together to try rebuttal the poor imagery of Africa. Great Missenden, Southeast England, Buckinghamshire population of just over 10,000, was given an AONB for its natural beauty due to endogenous factors, a rare chalk stream up north, etc. 80 million maiden visits a year. 23 is ancient woodlands, 2,770 jobs supported by visits. Connected to central London by rails, 96% white population, aging population, 10% least deprived in England. HS2. A fast train track was proposed, but it will ruin the environmental beauty of Great Missenden, and led to huge local protests in 2017. Can massively impact the place, meaning taking from a natural beauty to a traveling area. Detroit, situated on Detroit River, linking two of Northern America's biggest rivers, making its physical geography a huge advantage. In the 19th century, shipping brought huge wealth into the city. Steel belt boom in the 20th century. Homegrown companies manufactured new consumer products for customers across the USA, such as Ford. Steel belt boom is where railroads helped connect coal with iron. With the economic decline of the 20th century, it became known as the Rust Belt. Detroit, too. In the 20th century, workers were needed. Millions of African Americans traveled from rural South states to Northeast urban states, known as the Great Migration. It was also driven by racism by the KKS in the South. Detroit became very racially diverse. and competition by other car companies in the 1970s led to an economic decline. Detroit became capital of Rust Belt and experienced the biggest bankruptcy in the U.S. in 2013. Population rises faster in LICs. 1 in 9 suffer undernourishment. More than 1.9 billion are overweight. Enough food for the world. But lots are underfed. Third of food is wasted. 2015 Millennium Development Goal is to halve the amount of hungry people who aren't fed. Niger, poorest country ITW, highest fertility rate. Only 200 mm of rainfall a year. 2.5 million people with no food. Dry soil and poor infrastructure. Obesity has doubled since 1980. 39% of adults are obese in 2014. 2 billion people are employed in food production. Soils: tropical red latticel, 5 degrees of equator, associated with rainforest, infertile. Podsol, cooler climates such as UK or between NA Eurasia. Lack of precipitation, but its rainfall exceeds its evapotranspiration due to low temperature. Usually takes thousands of years for soil to become mature for agriculture. Will always be a natural loss due to erosion and mass movement. Due to poor human management of soil, it was shown in 2012. Soil is being lost between 10 and 40 times the rate. It can be naturally replenished. Waterlogging occurs when water rises to the point of soil saturation, and there is insufficient oxygen for plants to respire. Malaria: 214 million cases a year, 3 billion people at risk. 97 different countries, 43 8,000 deaths a year, 6,000 deaths in 2015 in Uganda. Occurs in high-temperature rainy seasons. Best ways to manage it: early diagnosis. It's estimated there was 12 billion fewer cases between 2001 and 2015 due to the use of insecticides and mosquito nets. Malaria: global financing increased from 960 million to 2.5 billion in 2016 bill. Gates pledged 3 billion over 5 years to fund research over malaria. Asthma: 300 million people have asthma. Less than 1% of deaths are linked to asthma. Particularly present in Eastern Europe, caused 3651 deaths in 2014. Costs US over $56 billion. Management taking medicine. Raising awareness via World Asthma Day. Models of natural population change. DTM classifies countries into 3 groups based on rates of infertility, etc. China's one-child policy. China has a huge population. Due to this, they faced excessive population growth in the 1970s and feared mass starvation by the end of the 20th century. Thus, they introduced a one-child policy in 1979 and became very effective in 2016 with its replacement two-child policy. It has now seen a natural increase rate, whilst also increasing life expectancy. China's one-child policy, however, the policy has also had its critics due to reports of selective fetus termination as China favor male children. The ratio for boys to girls born is 11:18:100. And there are estimated 50 million missing women in 2003. This has led to an increase in sex trafficking. Bangladesh healthcare: one of the most densely populated countries in the world. Almost 170 million occupy an area the size of England. 80% live in low-lying fertile floodplain. And 1 in 3 live in extreme poverty, raising the age of marriage has reduced the fertility rate in Bangladesh. However, healthcare such as contraception has greatly reduced fertility rate. Bangladesh population: 1970s showed the value of trained female health. Children became healthier, fewer women died of pregnancy. Parents gained more farmlands and built more valuable homes. Average birth rates have fallen from 6 to slightly more than 2. Bangladesh becomes one of the first LICs to meet the UN goal of reducing child mortality by 2/3. Bangladesh, like China, Bangladesh's population suffers from a gender imbalances, with recent estimates of 27 million women. However, research into the decline in infant mortality rate over the last 20 years has found that the rate of infant mortality in girls is faster than that of males. Migration change? Migration is population movement. Push factors range from things such as soil exhaustion and natural disasters to economic and social issues such as poverty and family breakdown. Pull factors, job opportunities, and better education.
International migration? In October 2013, 302 coffins contained bodies of men, women, and children on the Italian island. Leaders around the world vowed to make sure such life wasn't lost over migration again. Impacts on Italy costs 200 million a year to rescue hundreds of thousands of foreigners.
Migration to Australia. 89% of population live in urban areas. It has one of the lowest population density, but this is due to the environmental challenges it faces. Until the 1970s, their government encouraged European families to migrate to Australia. Since then, a skill-based immigration policy has been set. Easter Island, a remote island in the Pacific Ocean. Around 1,000 years ago, a group of Polynesians settled on Easter Island, and over 600 years society grew. Its population peaked at several thousands. 16 million trees were removed as part of slash and burn farming. In 1744, only 700 people lived there. There are finite resources. In 1970, human population over 2 rate of replenishment of natural resources. Around 20% more food per person is produced, but around 1 billion people are still hungry. Only 2.5% of water is fresh water. Around 1.1 billion people don't have access to water. Greenhouse gases are being created faster than absorbed. Population is expected to reach 9.2 billion by 2050. 1/4 of population is between 10 to 24. Carrying capacity is the fact an environment has a carrying capacity is the maximum number of people a given environment can support over a sustained period of time without environmental degradation. We need to take into account the disparity between the per capita consumption levels of rich and poor. Population change in Iran, a remarkable fall in population over 30 years due to a successful family planning program. Their government now fear it was too successful, and thus will change their population policy again. The last 40 years dominated by armed conflict. After the 1979 revolution, the Islamic Republic of Iran was established. After the revolution, Iran attempted to prioritize the basic needs. The urban middle classes were practicing birth control, but the rural population were still having large families to ensure economic success.
Iran Part 2. Despite the shock of conflict, the improved health care resulted in falls in infant mortality rates between 1981 and 1986. Between 1976 and 86, population grew combined with economic damages due to the war leading to far of hunger crisis. 1989 implemented population policies, which combined with improved living conditions was massively successful.
Iran baby boomers. The baby boom from 1980 provided a youthful population and an independent workforce. Due to population policies, their population is more aging, and they now require another baby boom in 2010s. Thus, the government offered a pay program for those with 2 child's relationship between place and health. Abbey Ward, Lincoln Inn Hall, a historic city of almost 100,000 people, home to some of the most deprived areas in England. Aging housing, 10% most deprived for income, 1% most deprived for health. Abbey Renewal Area and Community First have attempted to improve health, including the refurbishment of Abbey's Sport Court, a $3 million restoration project providing a range of recreational facilities.
Abbey Ward, Action Lane 2. A recently formed community group volunteer in the Monks Road area aimed to bring about positive change by involving local people in practical projects.